In this video, we will walk through how to build 4 different variations of this mini two-handed controller. Let's get started with this basic controller.
This controller is perfect for platformers or any game that doesn't need a second analog stick. For this setup, you're going to need a charger, 2 power cubes, and your peripherals. You're going to need an Xbox peripheral, an ABXY, and a D-pad, your left and your right triggers, and a mini analog stick, as well as 2 handles. Let's start by building the shape of our controller. I'm going to get 1 power cube and 1 charger, and I'm going to connect the male face of the power cube into the charger. Then I'm going to lock the male face of the power cube. I've decided to put the charging cable facing back so that if I'm charging the controller, it will go back the way. Then I'll get my second power cube and make sure that the male face is facing downwards, and I'm going to connect that to the male face of the charger. Lock the charger. Then I'm going to get my left and my right handles. Lock the male face of the handle into the power cube and flick the switch to lock. And get my other handle and do the same on the other side. And flick the switch to lock. And I've built the shape. Feel free to mess around with the angle of the handles to make it more comfortable for you. So this is the basic shape of my controller. Now I'm just going to add the peripherals. So I'm going to add the mini analog stick on the left side and my ABXY on the right. Then on the back I'm going to put my triggers. So my right trigger on the right side and my left trigger on the left side. And my D-pad, my Xbox button at the top. Again, some people prefer to swap these 2 places and put their triggers on the top, or maybe put a 1 button somewhere as well. You can put another button down here. It's up to you. This is a super simple setup, so feel free to change things around as you go. And now the last thing I'm going to do is just cover up the faces I'm not using. So my male cover on the male face, and then snap on a cap. And that's that. Again, this controller only has 1 analog stick, and you can also replace this whole cube with an analog cube if you didn't want to use the mini analog controller. Now that we've built this one, I'm just going to show you some variations of this controller.
The first variation just swaps the mini analog stick with the analog cube.
First, I'm going to swap out this power cube and this analog stick. So let me take the power cube off, grab my analog cube. Because the analog cube is this way, I'm actually going to change the configuration around just a little bit and have the male face of the power cube going into this analog cube. So now all my buttons have been kind of moved around a little bit, so let me just rotate them back the way that they should be. Take my peripherals off the other cube. Put my handles back on. Perfect. So here's the exact same controller, but with an analog cube instead. And again, I would just cover up the faces I'm not using. I'm going to show you how to add an extra analog stick so that if you are playing a game with extra analog sticks, you have all the buttons that you need. So first, I'm going to remove the ABXY. And I'm going to place the mini analog stick where that is. Then in the software, I would remap the stick to be a right stick. And I'm going to move this Xbox peripheral from where I'm going to change it down. I'm going to put my Xbox peripheral down here. It actually has all of the inputs you need, just with 2 cubes.
So the very last configuration uses 2 analog cubes.
I'm actually going to take the charger off, and I'm going to use another analog cube.
So I'm going to place this power cube directly into the analog cube. Make sure it's locked. Then grab a right analog cube and connect that into the power cube. You will need to remap the analog cube in order to make this work, because you can see it's angled. Then I've added a handle, and I'm just going to move my ABXY button and move my trigger over to the analog cube. Then I don't need a third analog stick, so I'm going to swap the mini analog stick with the Xbox peripheral and adjust my handle to make it more comfortable. And that's pretty much it. Then the last step, as usual, is just cover up all the faces I'm not using. I went through this one a little bit fast, but basically I'm just swapping a power cube where the charger used to be and putting an analog cube where the power cube used to be, so everything just gets moved over from the power cube to the analog cube, and you can place the Xbox peripheral in the middle. So those are all the configurations I wanted to go through today. Let me know if you want to see anything else.